Hey, True Believers, Englentine here with a history of comics. This is something I used to do. It didn't get a lot of traction, so I figured, what the heck, let's try it again, right? I want to share my passion and my love with comic books. You know, before I started to do the drama, I started doing stuff like this, and I want to share through the history of comic books. Now, for the longest time, The Yellow Kid was known to be the oldest comic book in America. But it turns out there's another age, a whole other age. Now, it came before The Yellow Kid, and I heard it called the Victorian Age, but I think I'm the only one that's using that term, so I don't know if that's official yet. So, you know, grain of salt and all of that. But the first comic book was The Adventures of M. Obadiah Oldbuck. And by that I mean it is the oldest known to us right now. They're finding new stuff all the time. It was first printed in Europe in 1837, but then later came to America and was printed in 1842. This is the oldest known comic book printed in the United States. It was a modern day comic book size, 8.5 by 11 inches, and it was a stitched book. Now, I don't think a lot of kids today are seeing a lot of stitched books. These are the ones that kind of have the string going down the... I saw them when I was a kid, but I don't think they're a lot around these days. But also, there were no word balloons because everything was printed underneath the pictures. Now, the book was created by a man named Rudolf Toffer. It could be Toffer. It's Swedish. I'm probably saying it wrong. But he's considered the creator of the picture story, as he created a comic strip in 1827. And from there, created a few graphic novels, much the same as Oldbuck here. Some of those graphic novels did have English translations, so, hopefully we'll find some of those. And that's the thing. This Victorian age, they're finding new stuff all the time. This is the oldest comic book for sure, but it is just the oldest comic book that we know about right now, and I think it's really exciting that there may be something else out there. Next up, we had The Brownies by a guy named Palmer Cox, who did this story for a magazine called St. Nicholas. And much like Oldbuck, it was a story where you had pictures, but the text was either under or beside it telling the story. And the Brownies were really the first successful comic strip. As a matter of fact, they're the first trade paperback. Their strips were collected into book form, the first one to have that done. And they were also the first to cross over into other medium. Of course, movies didn't exist, but they were put into plays and books and novels, so forth and so on. And it's this kind of success where we start to see more magazines pick up more picture stories, Harper's, Truth, Life, things like that. But there's a little bit of problem. The newspapers wanted to compete in this as well. Unfortunately, they couldn't get the really great talent because it was being sucked up really quickly by the magazines. So the story goes that a man named Roy L. McCardle was talking to Morrill Goddard, the editor of the New York World, the largest newspaper at the time, and he was like, hey, I think I know somebody who could give you something. And that man was Richard F. Outcault, the grandfather of the modern comic book. He did a picture for the June 2nd, 1894 The Truth magazine about street urchins, street kids. And below it, there was a caption. And the caption read, Feudal Pride in Hogan's Alley. Little Rosalie McGraw. No, we won't come and play with you. Delia Costigan. Our reduced means may temporarily necessitate our residing in a rear tenement, but we're just as exclusive as when we were living on the first floor front and Papa had charge of the pound in the Department of Canine Captivity. And don't ask me why I felt that needed an Irish accent, okay? It just did. Don't at me. All right? Now look, you cannot in any way, shape, or form overstate the accomplishments and the contributions that Siegel and Schuster gave to the comic book world. However, one of the unsung heroes in the comic book world is Richard F. Alcott, who was able to look and draw New York the way the people of New York saw it. And he was able to make people laugh about their lives no matter how grim it got. And, that's what some people need. And he became the father of the American comic strip. Without him, we wouldn't have had something like The Yellow Kid. And The Yellow Kid gave way to comic books like Superman. The comic book world has a vibrant history, and I really hope to share it with you. I want to talk about The Yellow Kid some more. I want to talk about some of the things that interested me that I was going to do over at I Love Comics, but the drama kind of took over, and it just got derailed. So, here we go. I don't know if anybody else is going to be interested in like M. Old Buck or talking about Richard F. Outcult, but those are coming. I want to talk about the Yellow Kid, then the Platinum Age, and then kaboom, let's get it wide open. You know, my brother actually recorded a video about Little Nemo, so I'm going to leave that. But you're going to hear a lot about not only the history of comics, but the as much as we can of the history of the people who make them and behind the scenes. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think I'll do on Ko-Fi what I'm doing for the comic book origins and stuff like that over on I Love Comics. If you guys have a piece of history you specifically want me to focus on, by all means, I think that would be pretty awesome. With all that said, please let me know what you think about this in the comments below, because the last time I tried this, it wasn't very successful. But if you guys are interested in it, let me know. Or if you're not, let me know that too. Don't forget to click like and share to get word out about this channel so it could grow. And if you don't mind helping out the channel, going over to Ko-Fi, there's a tip jar. You don't just have to commission a video, but if you want to, you could. And over at Patreon as well. Yeah, thank everybody who's already done that, and to everyone, all of the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching.